For many people growing up in the 90s, the Neo Geo represented something almost unobtainable, a true arcade experience at home. See, as MVS machines started popping up in arcades around the world, SNK also dangled the AES in front of us, a home version of the platform that was $650 for the console and up to $300 for the games. In today's dollars, that's around $1,300 for the console and $600 for each game, making it unobtainable for most people outside the 90s rental market. As time went on, the MVS arcade boards started to get smaller and cheaper with each revision. There were also new devices being released nicknamed Superguns that allowed you to connect MVS arcade boards, as well as their cheaper game cartridges, to regular TVs. People even came up with ways to build custom cases for these boards, essentially turning them into a home console. Some were amazing, and others were, well, not. Now, a group of people have teamed up to provide the community with an open source project that's almost completely plug and play that aims to raise the bar of what to expect from a consolized MVS. I'd like to introduce you to the Open MVS. The Open MVS is a kit that includes a 3D printed case inspired by the AES home console, as well as the circuitry to add RGB video and stereo audio via an output and back. It's almost entirely plug and play with only two very easy wires required to solder. The creators of the Open MVS are currently selling them as pre-modded complete units, as well as do-it-yourself kits. However, all of the source files to make your own from scratch will be open source and available. The goal of this project is simple: to provide a cost-effective solution for hardware modders to sell quality consolized MVSs to their customers, or for people to just make their own. And I'll be honest, I hope the availability of these things would help reduce the amount of garbage we see on eBay, because some of those glued-in HDMI solutions are just terrible. This also opens a door for good sellers to provide quality products, glue-free, to people who want a turnkey solution. I guess this would also provide an upgrade path for people who've already purchased an existing solution they're unhappy with, or I guess just feel like they would want to upgrade. If the consolized Neo Geo you own has an MV1C motherboard, you'll just need to remove anything they installed and plug it into this kit instead. So let's take a closer look and see exactly what this kit includes and how it performs. The case in the Open MVS was designed by Avarum CE as a way for anyone with a large format 3D printer to make their own. A printer that can handle 300 by 300mm prints or larger is best, however you might be able to make one with a 250 by 250 printer. Basically, this isn't something you'd be able to print with an entry-level 3D printer, but there's definitely models out there that can support it. The case is made of a different few pieces and will take quite a long time to print, but is absolutely an option for do-it-yourselfers. There's also a basic plexi piece in the kit that can mount underneath the MVS logo, however you can place whatever you'd like there. As a note, the tops of the cases shown in this video have all been painted, while the rest of the kits just use the 3D printed color that they chose. Something else to note is 3D printed materials do not photograph well. At a normal distance, these cases look great and you can't see any of the 3D printed ridges at all. But with a 4K camera, you see every detail. Please keep that in mind as you watch. After Avarum started the Open MVS project, he teamed up with Tianfeng to create high-quality circuit boards that require little to no assembly when purchased in kit form. Let's take a look at each. The front board connects to the MV1C's JAMA output and breaks out all the necessary signals. The controller ports, power button, and test menu button are available right from there as well. The power circuit breaks out to a DC input jack, which is compatible with many 5-volt power supplies, including the international supply the kit ships with. If you're making your own Open MVS, there's a few brands tested and proven that work well, which are linked in the documentation. The video signals are broken out from the JAMA connector and sent to a rear board designed by Tianfeng that integrates the same proven, tested circuitry he used in the Omega MVS replacement board. The circuit was specifically tweaked for the MV1C motherboards and provides a high-quality RGB output, as well as sync over both composite video and C-Sync pins from a Genesis 2 style DIN. That means any properly designed Genesis 2 SCART cable will work regardless of sync, as well as the HD Retrovision component video cables and the Rad2X. No more glued-in HDMI solutions needed, just plug in your cable or scaler of choice. The last thing to talk about is the audio circuit. This was inspired by the Sega Triple Bypass and is the same one Tien used in the Omega MVS replacement board. The audio board is the only required soldering, but it's just two simple wires. There's a lot of benefits to doing it this way though. First, it allows for stereo audio instead of mono, and while mono audio wouldn't be a deal breaker for me with Neo Geo, I think most of us really appreciate the stereo sound effects and quality music you get with most Neo Geo games. Also, the filter isn't too aggressive, so you still retain that gritty Neo Geo feel to the audio, while filtering out some of the noise that you most certainly wouldn't have been able to hear in a loud arcade, but would definitely notice with quality speakers at home. The other reason for the audio mod is power. See, the JAMA standard includes both 5V and 12V power rails, but the MV1C only uses the 12V for audio. Integrating the complete audio circuit on the AV board means 12V isn't required at all. This makes the power circuit much cheaper and easier to integrate, and also allows for a fully external and also cheaper AC to DC power adapter. Lastly, doing this mod means that you won't need the heatsink, which gets in the way of the case. More on that in the next section though. Before installing the kit, you'll need to make a few modifications to the MV1C motherboard. Now, the only soldering that's required are the two wires for audio. However, there's a few mods that I really recommend doing on any MV1C motherboard. Let's take a look. First, start by removing the plastic cover if your board has one. It's just 4 screws on the outside, then the motherboard slides right out. Next, take a look at the battery, which could look very different depending on who's worked on the motherboard in the past. Unless your MVS already has a flat battery socket installed, you'll need to snip this off. If you're just using the motherboard as is without any other mods, you could just leave it snipped, but I really don't like removing functionality from a board, and I suggest adding the socket that comes with the kit. You'll need to bend and rework some of the pads on the socket, and depending on your modding skills, scraping a bit of solder mask off and soldering to the ground plane might actually be easier. This might be a bit challenging for beginners to do, so I understand if you decide to just leave it snipped, but with a bit of patience, it shouldn't be too bad. Honestly, this is a really good mod to perform on any MV1C, as it makes all future battery replacements so much easier. As a note, the battery itself has to be a rechargeable one, such as an LIR 2032 or ML 2032. Definitely do not use the non-rechargeable kind. Now it's decision time. If you never plan on using this in a real arcade machine again, unbolt the heatsink from the op-amp, then carefully snip the legs on the other side of the board. Sometimes the heatsink will just fall right out after snipping, but if not, just hold your soldering iron up to it for a few seconds. These actually popped right off as soon as I hit it with the soldering iron, but I was holding the motherboard up to the camera so you can't really see it happen. Totally easy, beginner-friendly work. Next, snip the legs off the op-amp as close to the motherboard as possible to make sure no pins are sticking up that might touch other traces. This amp is only for the audio circuit and won't be used at all with this mod, so it isn't needed. If you think there's a chance you might use this in an arcade machine at some point in the future, you have some options. The first is to remove the heatsink, but bend the op-amp so the case will fit. This is safe to do, but just make sure that the pins aren't touching anything after bending, and you should be fine. Since there's no 12V being sent at all, the amp won't even be powered on, so you don't need to worry about it getting too hot near the plastic case. It'll just be room temperature. You could also replace the heatsink with a smaller one and bend it sideways like shown here. You might want to research what's the best heatsink, or I guess the smallest one as well, in order to fit inside the case. To be honest, if you ever put this motherboard back in an arcade machine, I'm not really sure what kind of heatsink would be required, as the one in my mini MVS never even gets warmed to the touch. Now, this is actually an audio amp designed for car stereos, with some automatic shutdown protection built in if it ever gets too hot. So if you wanted to experiment, it would be totally safe to use, and if you found that you needed a heatsink or a bigger heatsink, you could just swap it out. Regardless of whatever solution you choose, as long as you're able to close the case and that none of the pins are touching and nothing's shorted, it should be a totally good solution for this kit. Last is the only soldering that's absolutely required for this mod, the stereo audio channels. Simply solder the wire included with the kit to the two following points on the board, with the red wire on the right side. Experts could probably do this with their eyes closed, and even with my intermediate skills, I was able to solder this while looking through the lens of my camera to get the shot. While it would have been nice to have a fully plug-and-play solution, I think the cost savings, smaller case, and stereo audio upgrade are absolutely worth the trade-off of soldering two small wires and snipping the heatsink. Before we begin putting it together, I suggest taking one last look at the MV1C motherboard itself. Make sure any previous mods done to the board are done properly, or just remove them altogether. You might also consider installing a Unibios or Neo BIOS Master, but those are a bit out of scope for this video, and you could always install them later. Now that your motherboard is all ready, you just need to piece it all together. If you've printed the case yourself, start by assembling the front and rear 3D printed panels into the bottom shell. Also attach the DC power input jack. If you purchased a kit, you should already have these installed, as you see here. Then connect the front board to the case and bolt it in. You'll need to align the power and test mode buttons properly, then just make sure it's secure. Next, neatly route the wires for the AV and power so they won't get pinched by the case. Then, after everything else is in place, insert the MV1C motherboard. You'll want to carefully align the JAMA connector, as some boards can easily be placed off-center and the pads could bridge. It's actually an easy mistake for even experts to make, but as long as you pay attention and make sure that the pads line up with the slot pins, you'll be fine. Also, take this time to route the audio cable as well. I'd fire up and test it at this point, just to make sure everything's working okay. Assuming it is, mount the acrylic sheet to the top cover, then slide the cover over the front buttons onto the unit. If you're making your own from scratch, you could use anything you'd like to cover the MVS holes, but I'd recommend something just so there isn't a large exposed opening. Lastly, carefully push in the cartridge slot brace and the spacer. Once you've confirmed they're aligned, bolt that in place. That's pretty much it. Now you've got yourself a completely custom, consolized MVS. It should work just like an AES and should be compatible with all AES controllers. If you're using a custom arcade stick with a DB15 connector, it's recommended that you use a Neo Geo extension cable and not a computer hardware DB15 connector, as the ports are recessed for a more stock look. Worst case scenario, you'll just need to pick up some extensions so your existing DB15 cable would fit properly. As long as the Open MVS kit or completed unit that you purchased was made by a reputable store, they should all perform really well. Press the power button on the left to turn the console on. After the game is loaded, you could press the button on the right anytime to access the game's service or test menu. Be careful not to accidentally press this during gameplay, but I guess you could say the same thing about any console that has a reset button or any other button on the console itself. Here's some captures through the OSSC in 5x mode with optimal timings and phase set. I scaled it to 4K to fit the native resolution of this video, so it should look pretty accurate regardless of the display you're watching it on. However, please keep in mind that all internet streaming services compress the heck out of these videos. Oh, and the image is cut off because of the 5x scale, not the Open MVS. More on that in another video. Now, here's how it looks with the Rad2X. It's obviously not as sharp as the OSSC, but I think in the context of a plug-and-play solution that requires no tweaking at all, it's pretty impressive. And if nothing else, a heck of a lot better than those laggy knockoff cables. Hey everybody, just a quick interruption to let you know that this is sponsored by you. All of the projects that I'm involved in are sponsored directly by support from the retro gaming scene, and if you'd like to find out how to support even at no cost to you, please check out the link below. Thanks, and back to it. The sound quality is excellent as well. You'll always get some hum with analog audio output, but this is definitely as good as you could expect from any analog signal. So overall, the output's about as good as you could possibly get from the analog outputs of a Neo Geo. It's equal to or better than any other consolized MVS, and I'd actually say the same about AES consoles. Some output great RGB video natively, while others output a pretty dirty signal without a mod. This is equal to or better than all modded Neo Geo consoles, regardless of console revision, so you could be confident you have a great solution for your MVS carts. So I obviously love this project, but I'm not trying to say that the Open MVS is the only consolized MVS solution you should use. I'm just really thrilled that hardware makers have a solution that's been proven that they could base their new designs off of, and just Neo Geo fans can now have a safe solution that they don't have to worry about purchasing. Now, as much as I absolutely love to keep these videos happy and positive, I do have to at least acknowledge all of the junk that's out there with MVS consolization. Now, yes, there's been a few solutions over the years that were mostly fine with just a few tweaks needed or maybe a safety issue here and there, and there were other solutions that were perfectly good for their time but have been replaced by much better performing and safer ones. And shout out to all of those solutions, there's certainly nothing wrong with those at all. The negative ones I want to talk about are all of the eBay scammers that I've been seeing for years. And while I mentioned it casually a few times already in this video, it's something that really bothers me, because seeing those HDMI boxes glued in that have over 5 frames of lag on average drives me nuts, because the Neo Geo is a platform that people normally go to for an accurate arcade experience. I mean, it's not like people buy the Neo Geo to play fighting games, right? My hope is that if enough people spread the word about the Open MVS project, a lot of that stuff will go away, both because some of those stores might choose to do it right now that there's a solution available, as well as the fact that there might be a lot more choices for people that want to buy an MVS in order to get safely. That way people aren't left with just whatever's left over on eBay. Now, there are some other good solutions available as well, and if you're interested in those, here's a few to check out. I'm still a fan of the Omega MVS, although it is pricey and I prefer to use it with the new RGB board. The Behar brothers have a VGA Neo Geo with a metal shell that should also be a pretty cool solution. Also, just using a quality supergun in an arcade PSU is a great solution that might be easier for people who already own that arcade equipment and don't mind more of an arcade board style look. Overall, I'm just happy there's good choices now, and with the release of the Open MVS project, we might get even more choices. Hopefully people will fork the project and even come up with their own cool spins on the design. There's actually at least one project like that in the works now, but more on that in a future video. Well, that's it for this time. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing to one of our support services, such as Patreon or Floatplane, as it's your support that keeps these videos, as well as contribution to open source projects like this one, alive. Also, if you'd like to be kept in the loop of everything going on in the retro gaming scene, check out the weekly podcast that's available every Wednesday as a video and everywhere audio podcasts can be found. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.